What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me today, we got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes, sir. We got our boy, my brother, your brother, B.
Hey.
Hey, with all that intro, you give me a hey.
Right? It was a long title. I'm like the breaker of chains over here. Like
Brandon the Broken. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Episode 8, She-Hulk, Episode 8. And before we get into those episodes, we try to talk about MCU and all these other big things. So we're going to talk about Werewolf by Night that came out this week first. So let's get right into it because it looks like we have a longer of a podcast today. So let's get right into it so it's not too long for you guys and I get to go to sleep. So recently last week came out Werewolf by Night on Friday night. It came out. Nice little Halloween treat or October treat for all those MCU fans. Mm-hmm. And listen, I got to tell you guys, I saw Werewolf by Night on the Disney Plus app there, and I thought it was pretty all right. I didn't think it was anything special and great. I thought it was really good. Actually, honestly, I think it's probably better than a couple things I've seen from the MCU in phase 4 we're in right now. Yeah. And very impressed, but it didn't really connect to anything on the outside besides the mention of the Avengers in the beginning of the story. Flat out good story, I thought, and interesting characters. Brandon, you get a chance to watch Werewolf by Night?
I did. I would say the same thing. Like, I thought that it was very interesting. Spoiler alert, a really cool character, Man-Thing, made his MCU appearance, and that was awesome considering what's happening in the MCU right now. Right. And so that was very cool. I thought the story was nice. It was a cool story. It was just very short, and so like everything just happens and then it's over and it's like, okay. Like, I didn't hate it, No. I didn't hate it at all. It was fun. It was really cool when they were doing the transformation sequence of the werewolf, right. A lot of the chase and murder scenes. Like, I didn't know everyone was going to try and murder each other, So, like, when that started happening, I was like, oh, this is cool. It was just like, I felt like it was just too short for me to be like, oh, like, I can see this is MCU, or I could see, like, do we have another one of these coming out? Like, is this just going to be like Marvel shorts that are happening? Like, it just leads more to the viewer to say, I like it. I want to see some more.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think, and if had it been a series, it probably would have been like these other Disney Plus series like She-Hulk and Miss Marvel and what's the Moon Knight. It would have probably overstayed its welcome, like most of these shows end up doing, right? So it's like, I think it was a nice sweet spot for 1 hour. Yeah. But Al, how about yourself, man? What'd you think? I mean, I thought personally it was a little bit more brutal than I'm used to with the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah, like Bree said, with them all trying to kill each other, it threw me for a loop because I thought they were going to be more all like who could kill the monster first. Right. Like, I thought that was going to be the point of it, not them trying to kill each other. But what surprised me was I'm trying to figure out what's even the point. Like, obviously it's a one-off. They even introduced it like as a Marvel MCU special or something like that. Like, they didn't say like a series show or whatever.
Right.
But what was the point of this? Like, because they spent a lot of money on this, like between the effects and everything, a lot went into this. So to have it as 45 minutes, 50-minute show.
Yeah, it was about an hour. Yeah, definitely.
Show. Like, I'm looking for, was this a tie-in? Was this meant to, like B said, introduce us to Man-Thing? And is he going to then now be in something? Because he's cool. I want to see more of him. Like,
yeah, he was awesome.
Like, I saw the, I don't know if that's supposed to be a twist, the fact that the werewolf and him knew each other.
Who,
but
Ted?
Yeah. Ted. Yeah, Ted. He goes by Ted. She goes, Ted.
Approach him like an old friend.
Like, I saw that coming. I was surprised when I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to have it that this guy's actually not one of these guys, one of the hunters. He's actually, here for some ulterior motive. And sure enough, that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I'm at a loss as to what the point of this is. But was enjoyable. I had a good time for the 50 minutes that it was on. I thought everybody did a good job. I'm interested. It made me actually want to see more of this Bloodstone family, especially now
Right.
that they're down to the one person, and see what that's about.
Absolutely. And I think the one thing that I guess as Marvel fans that we are, the one disappointing thing was no after credits. It was
Yeah,
just flat out, it ended. And I don't know if
I
that
was waiting for
surprised
something.
you guys.
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
waiting for something.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was waiting there and I saw it went right to the it went to what's it called? Those the 13 guys, the what are they called, man? The ones from outer space that are robots.
The Eternals.
Eternals. Yeah, that's my
Oh,
thing. Went right to Eternals afterwards. I was like,
oh no.
I don't want to see
I
that
was like,
right
what was
now.
in your credits? I was like, I didn't get that.
No,
13
no,
guys.
it
What are you
went to the
talking
next
about?
show. But yeah, man, I mean, like I said, it was all right, and I'm looking forward to hopefully some more information about it. But I think, again, if Disney Plus was that, these like little 1 hour shows of introducing something really cool and then keeping it moving, because I think they kind of sell us on this whole like episodic series, and some of it's been good. I'm not gonna lie, some of it has been really, really good. But I feel like some of it also has been like okay, like the She-Hulk thing. But like She-Hulk kind of picked up this week. Since we're already talking about the MCU, let's just go right into She-Hulk episode 8 from last week, and then we'll finish off with Game of Thrones House of the Dragon.
Okay.
Because I feel like we'll have a longer conversation about that. So let's get right into the She-Hulk there of episode 8. I know you bastards got to watch it earlier than I did, but then I ended up watching it that same night I went and watched it. And I got to tell you, man, the episode was really interesting and really cool, man. I really liked it. I liked the way that the direction that it went. It kind of freaked me out at one point towards the end, which is the point where she feels like, why are you guys still here? This is over, right? This is
Yeah.
over. And it felt like, oh, so what's going to happen here? And it got a little weird.
Yeah.
But before we get to the weirdness of it, let's talk about the star of the show besides She-Hulk in this episode, which is our boy, Daredevil. Al, talk to me, man. What was your thoughts on seeing Daredevil on the screen there with She-Hulk?
No, I thought they did a good balance.
Mm,
Kind of like what they did when they had Hulk on in the beginning. They brought in the character, but they didn't let him take over. They
right.
left it like she keeps saying, "It's my show." So they never took it away from being her show.
Right.
So they brought Daredevil in. They let us see how he's going to be, because he's a more acrobatic. I can't think of another word to use. Like when he fought her, like he was very much more
Very agile, dude.
Yeah, a lot
Wow.
more than I remember him being in his
Which
show
he's
on
supposed
Netflix.
to be.
Right.
Correct, but he wasn't like that in Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix had it a little bit more grounded, whereas
No,
with
he got his
here,
ass kicked a lot.
Yeah.
For sure.
They bring him in. They have the nice banter in the beginning, the good chemistry between the two of them. They show how good of a lawyer he is before they even show him as Daredevil. And then when they bring him in as Daredevil, again, he's Daredevil. Especially when they show that scene in the hallway, you have to give him a hallway scene. And I like how they hint, they tease us, and then they again remind us it's her show.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it made me excited about his show when it comes.
Yeah.
And what it's going to be like, and what it's going to the feel that they're going for, the look that they're going for. And I like that they kept him a lot like his character was on the Netflix show, because that was one of the Daredevil versions I really liked.
Yeah, man. And even besides Daredevil being Daredevil, we also had the Matt Murdock, the lawyer, which is something that I really was looking forward to seeing. And I thought it was very enjoyable to see him, basically lawyer the shit out of the court case. You know what I'm saying? With the whole thing of protecting the designer of all the clothes and stuff like that, and fighting, what is his name? Was Leapfrog?
Yeah, Leapfrog.
I mean, talk to me, man. What's your thoughts on Matt Murdock showing up also?
I thought it was awesome, expected, but it was awesome, especially to have him be the lawyer, to keep him. One of the things I was afraid of was that he was going to be too funny, because
he was a little too smiley for me, dude.
Yeah, he was very smiley. Maybe
smiley.
Listen, it's been 5 years, so in like MCU timeline, it's been like 5 years, so he's had some time to like ease off. He had a whole building
about something.
Yeah, he had a whole building fall on him at one point, so maybe we can ease up a bit, So it was good to see that he was Daredevil again. It
Yeah.
was good to see him being Matt Murdock, and it was good to see that they've given this character a chance to grow. They hinted back at his time during the Netflix series, and now they're seeing that. And I guess the whole Born Again title for his show actually makes sense with the new suit, the new Matt Murdock, and him
Right.
having he's not comical, but he's a little more lighthearted this time
Right.
around,
It's
and
like,
I thought it suited him really well.
Daredevil.
Yeah. Even like when he was fighting She-Hulk on top of the building, like his whole approach to not just being like broody Matt Murdock and just him being like, he's like, hey, we're on the same side. Like, the way he was leading conversation while trying not to get his ass kicked was actually very cool and a good use of him. And then, like Al said, I love the fact that they finally made him like agile, because he's supposed to be like on the same level as Spider-Man in terms of agility and like his ability to be acrobatic. Like, he's supposed to be right there. And while in the Netflix show, obviously he was a man that just used his hearing very well and did some crazy good fighting. And while that was a great interpretation of him, it's great to see him have growth as a superhero.
Yeah, man. And I think one of the things, Al, that they kind of bring up is he keeps talking about his history. And it's almost as if they're kind of alluding to that Netflix shows are somewhat of his history, but possibly not. And I feel like they kind of show us that he is the Matt Murdock we're used to. He is the Daredevil that we're used to, but just a little different. Just a little different in this world. I mean, how'd you feel with how they kind of like told us about his history? You know what I mean? They kind of said why how he has his, superhuman abilities there, and then what he does.
No, I liked it because it lets me know that this new show is not going to be an origin story.
Thank God.
Hence the name showed it, kind of alluded to it in itself, Reborn. But I like the fact that it let anybody who may be new to Daredevil, obviously us MCU fans, comic book fans, and so forth, we know who he is, we know his backstory. But this was a nice, quick way of letting anyone who might be new to it through She-Hulk, who he is, how his powers work, how he, what he's about in like 5 seconds. It was like a really quick, brief, and in ways that the average person who might be casually watching She-Hulk would understand. Echolocation, or and the fact that he even was quoting and putting air quotes on it and so forth, and that he's been doing this thousands of times, and so it shows that he's been doing this for. I like the way they did that, and they did it quick. They did it through real quick little bits of exposition, and then let him just do his thing and fight. And like you said in Lawyer, I like the fact that they gave him some comedy in the sense, like in the courtroom when he goes to say, oh, I could tell he's lying. Don't ask me how. And the judge goes, we could all tell he's lying.
Yeah, that was fantastic, man.
Yeah. So I like the way they brought him in.
Yeah, man. And then, speaking of the court case and who was against this guy named Leapfrog here, not a lead supervillain, what we say. He was pretending to be a hero, but then he really wasn't.
He was a douchebag.
Yeah, big time douchebag. What was his dad's rich, of course, so he was buying all his equipment. And I think the big mistake he made was he put jet fuel inside of his boots. Even the designer was just like, jet fuel. Oh man. But then again, you get to you get the corny, because it's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be comedic, you know what I'm saying? So you get the whole thing where now Jen Walters wants this guy who is like, I want to keep you as my designer for my clothes because I have a gala to go to. And it's just like, oh man. And she's wondering if it's going to mess things up with that. But I mean, Bree, what was your thoughts with the whole, Leapfrog guy there? I mean, he did play a funny part. It was a little silly, but
yeah, I think it was funny. I think it was just a good way to have them work together. Like it worked well. It wasn't forced. It was a storyline. I think out of everything that's happened on this show so far, this was the most cohesive storyline. Like, it had a start that made sense, and it found its way through to the end. whereas like even with the first episode, as much as I love the first episode, the whole hey, a Sicarian ship is just here and now we have a car accident, like it wasn't smooth, like it didn't work out well. So for this episode to have this really cohesive storyline from start to finish, it was very well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then the last thing we have with this couple, they're not a couple, but we find that they, in the midst of their battling and talking and fighting, they develop this somewhat of a, I don't want to say relationship, but they hit it off. You know what I mean? So they kind of link up, if we want to use nice terms on the podcast.
Family friendly.
Yeah, very friendly, very friendly link up there. But it's funny because I appreciate this Jen Walters. I like, again, Tatiana Maslany playing this character. I think she's killing it, man. And again, the show may not be great, but the actor playing She-Hulk is fantastic. And plus, what they're trying to do with her, empower her. You know what I'm saying? Like, bring her up to today's standards and to kind of like disrespect and put down these old ways of thinking of how women should act and be like. Because if it's a guy out there slaying everything that comes around, he's the man. So she's slaying everything around too. So and it's so funny because when I saw this one scene, the first thing I thought was, Al's probably dying laughing, is Daredevil's walk of shame. Was he holding his red boots, Al?
Yes, he was. He was walking barefoot with the mask on.
Good morning. Hey.
Kid, I was dying when they had him doing the walk of shame.
I know you too well, bro.
But it was a great, like, and that's what I say. It was a great way because for the most part, he's this serious, intense character on his show. So to show this side of him and the character, I thought was great because we may never get that again once we go back to his own show. But to have that balance of him in this show, it was hilarious.
Yeah,
and I thought that was great. And then to have the friend come over and say, "Oh, I just saw a guy doing the walk of shame," and then she's like, "Yeah." Okay, I thought it was great.
How about you, B? What'd you think of the whole relationship and Daredevil there walking out? I mean, that came out of nowhere. I didn't expect them to like hook up like that, but
this guy Matt Murdock is too smooth for his own good.
You mean Matt Murder? Matt Murder the Nani?
Right? Like if you think about it, like, right, he's got Karen, right? He had the night nurse, right? And then now he's got She-Hulk, and now he's gonna show up in the Echo show. And I don't, if he's gonna show up in the Echo show, I don't know how that's gonna go. There was even a meme about it, like Daredevil just showing up and just hooking up with your girl.
Oh my god, it's gonna be fantastic, man. Daredevil's a pimp, son. Just great, man. And then again, we lead to the next side of the story where again it was kind of awkward and it is purposely done, of course, and I really appreciated it. Was the fact that she was saying like, why are you guys still here? The show should have been over. She goes, it definitely had a happy ending. You know what I mean? Like, it was so funny. And, for a second there, I'm not going to lie, I did feel like maybe her best friend wasn't her best friend for a split second. And then she came out and was just like, ha! With the like the fake Wolverine makeup kit.
Her best friend may not be her best friend.
Oh, you got that vibe too, really quick, right?
But there's a lot of vibe going around. I don't know. There's something off about her.
Yeah, I think they purposely did that, man, to make us all wonder and get weirded out.
Her necklace, and then the couple times she stared at the camera throughout the episodes.
Really? I didn't notice that, man.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's some weird stuff she's got.
Yeah, man. But listen, we get to the gala here. We're thinking that she's going to be nominated as, what is it, Female Lawyer of the Year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it's a bunch of females, not just one Female Lawyer of the Year.
It is every female lawyer.
Very crazy. But then we get, the intelligentsia take over on the screen behind her. And they try to do basically, and this is the part where I got even myself, just as someone watching it, knowing it's not real, I got a little uncomfortable with the slut shaming. Like, it was uncomfortable. Like this dude, the fucking jerk. What was his name? Something with a J.
Josh.
Was it Josh? Fuck Josh. But
Fuck Josh.
homie had the audacity to record and take pictures, and he's gonna put that on the screen. Josh needs to get his comeuppance. So
And that's actually what I was really upset about. I guess the whole thing is to make you upset, but at the same time, I was actually really upset that the whole point of intelligentsia was just to slut shame her. It was to say, this is your superhero, you're slut shaming her. And so I was like, that was their big ploy, not to get maybe they are trying to get her blood and such, but it seemed as if that was going to be a bigger deal. And to do that, I was like,
you assholes.
But not only that,
I was really mad.
But not only that, if you're slut shaming her, you're showing her with one guy. So it's not like, how is that showing she's a slut?
No, I don't know.
One guy.
This is your superhero.
Plus she's a slut,
yes, she is.
And then you show her with
my
one
superhero.
guy. Even if they had shown her with multiples, how does that take away from that she's a hero?
Right.
I don't understand.
Yeah, man.
So I would have wished that they had gone a different route other than the sex tape. Had it be, showing her destroy property, or when they because they had already made the point of that she had destroyed the parking lot.
Right.
Have it be this is your hero, kind of like what they were doing with the Accords and everything. They're too dangerous to be around. Do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they were doing it more to get at her than to really affect her reputation with it. I think they just did it to make her go into her Hulk rage and
make her look bad, make her look worse. Yeah, absolutely, man. And I mean, listen, the show ends pretty much with her losing her shit, deservedly so. I would have done the same exact thing. And basically she's caught, and it looks like she's caught by the people who are capturing or trying to capture Miss Marvel, which was Damage Control.
Yeah.
So it looks like they were out there. Yeah, they were out there. And it looks like surrounded her. And I think that's how the show ended, was pretty much her surrounded by Damage Control.
And then her looking at us.
Yeah, what the fuck? So I mean, listen, the next episode is the grand finale, and honestly, I haven't seen any previews or heard anything about what's going to happen, so I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. But the way this is going, it looks like there's going to be some kind of big reveal of who the villain is, because there is no villain. So I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden Blonsky is a part of it. I don't know if Hulk's going to show up again. I don't think so, because I mean, they last left off where he is in another planet. So
I think he'll be an end credit.
Yeah, an end credit scene.
Yeah.
Well, let's see, man. And listen, we also got people saying that the leader may show up in this. That's the evil bad guy from Incredible Hulk in the first MCU movie.
Yeah, because he's in the Captain America movie, right?
Right. Yeah. He's in Captain America. New World Order. Yeah, so he's in Captain America 4 New World Order. So there's a lot of different people thinking different things about what's going to happen in this last episode. So, and just really quickly, also there was a mention of the Sokovia Accords being taken away, or so I mean, I don't know how big of a deal that may be, but that kind of ends superheroes working for the government again. But just in regards to the last episode, again, fellas, I mean, Brandon, take it away. What's your thoughts on what we're going to see in this finale?
I mean, I'm hoping that we see intelligentsia for who it really is. Hopefully it's the leader, I think it is. Right. And then just something to give us a sense of where we're gonna go with She-Hulk. As mixed as this season has been, I still don't know where she fits going forward. She's the only character who I just don't see proceeding after this, even though I know she's going to. And so I hope they end this by giving her some justice and giving her some sense of continuity going forward.
And how about for yourself, Al? What do you see for a finale here for She-Hulk?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, they got to recover her reputation and her standing in one episode. So it's got to be something where they reveal the big bad, and the big bad gets exposed as to having, manipulated her and so forth.
Right.
And then who that is, and then how it plays into the rest of, I guess, the next season. and then a continuation of the conversation she was having with Matt, because Matt kept telling her, like, you can be the superhero as well. What did he say to her? You can be Jen Walters
Mm-hmm.
when society fails people, and then you can be She-Hulk when the law fails people.
Yeah.
So just seeing that continuation of her moving into that thought process herself and saying, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. And then how that moves either into the second season or into wherever she's going to next appear in the MCU.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And meaning that she's in the West Coast, she's over in California somewhere. I wonder if there's any other superheroes in that area, that direction that they're trying to make, because they kind of really made a fact to say,
The West Coast
Daredevil was
Avengers
from New York. Right. Is they're going to form a West Coast Avengers, and where the fuck is White Vision? Like, I got two questions. Where the fuck is White Vision? And is no one still going to mention the fucking hand of a god hanging out of the Indian Ocean? Okay, but never mind. Wakanda forever. We'll wait.
Oh, Jesus.
Fucking Phase 4 ends in another month, man. Another month it ends at Phase 4. So.
Do you guys think, without dragging this conversation out too long, do you guys think they're trying to do too many things and it's starting to affect stuff?
They're throwing too much shit on the wall, Al. Yeah. They're like, hey, look at all these characters.
I look what just happened with Blade and everything. So are they trying too much at the same time?
I feel like they are. I think what happened was, like, this Disney Plus thing seemed like a really good idea. And it's not a bad idea. It's just that too much content has come out. And so much of that content, I feel, has now taken Kevin Feige from being looking like this to being everywhere, because he's got to
oversee everything.
Yeah, he's got to produce everything at some point. And so even though I know there's a guy who actually is hired specifically to understand where the multiverse is and what the story is, and they talk to each other, and I get that, but like, Kevin Feige is the person. And if he split between 13 projects, then his train of thought can't perfectly be aligned when he used to only have 4, and so I think right now we've done too much, because we realize we have the capability now of having so many heroes because of what happened with Avengers, but I think it's happening too fast now, and so the content wise is just squishing, and we're losing that phase 3. Right? It was such a strong phase, and that quality of it we were not getting anymore.
And I'll say this too: they delayed a lot of the movies in Phase 4. Thor: Love and Thunder was delayed. I believe Doctor Strange was the first one to be delayed.
It was the first one.
So with those movies having extra time, I thought both movies weren't quality MCU. I did not like Thor: Love and Thunder. And I did like Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, but it wasn't perfect and it wasn't good. It wasn't really, really good. It was good, but it wasn't one of those ones where I wanted to go see it immediately in the theaters again, because it was a great story and a great, movie. So it's like, even with the delays, it's not working. So, I hope with these delays, they take more time on the story and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to say, because I honestly, it feels like the MCU is lacking like a fantastic movie in Phase 4. And I'm hoping Wakanda Forever is it. You know what I mean? Wakanda Forever comes out next month. I think in 3-4 weeks, we're going to be seeing Wakanda Forever. I have high hopes that it's going to bring it back to quality MCU movies, man. Yeah. So we'll see what's going on with the MCU, man. And listen, again, if you guys are watching us, listeners, talk to you guys about She-Hulk and Werewolf by Night. If you guys are fans of the MCU, that is something we talk about whenever those things come up, whether it's casting, rumors, news, or reviews of these movies. Feel free to come back and see us. Or if you're you want to get ready for a Marvel movie or Marvel show, we usually do a prep as well. So feel free to come back and definitely sign up and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcasting play app. So let's get now into the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, episode 8. This is the reason I look forward to talking to these fellas right here. is because it brings me back the excitement of what I watched, and it also gets me amped up for the next show on Sunday. So we're gonna get to episode 9, and if you guys are fans of Game of Thrones, you know the second to last episode is gonna be fucking crazy. So shit's gonna be going down this episode if they continue what they used to do in the last series. But it should be a crazy episode 9 if they keep it the same way. But episode 8 itself, fantastic yet again.
Yeah,
fantastic yet again. So let's get right into it right now. Al, tell me your thoughts here on episode 8 of what you saw in House of the Dragon. With looks like what Corlys is allegedly, they don't show him, but they just tell us that he was either injured in war or a battle.
Yeah, he was injured in battle. He was
and so
not
he's
expected
missing
to make it. Yeah. But it set up a lot. Like, again, they go back to this questioning of who should rule, because the brother, Corlys's brother, doesn't, obviously everybody knows what's the situation in terms of Rhaenyra's kids. And Corlys had wanted the throne to pass on to one of Rhaenyra's sons. And he's like, no, that's not Valyrian blood. Why is it going to him? It should come to me. And it sets up the rest of the show, the episode. And I like the roller coaster that the episode was. I mean, you have the king, Rhaenyra goes to the king and basically, calls on him to step in. And the way they did the king, the effects they did on the king, they were bad at some points, but for the most part, they were right on. I like the mask.
Yeah.
There was a lot. I didn't realize how heavy this episode was for me until I was done with it, and I was like, damn, I almost wanted to watch it again because I didn't realize how much had happened in there. I mean, we have another time jump, so we see all the kids are older. You see how much of, like, I was scared of Aemon.
Aemon. Yeah.
Kid, he's scaring me even more.
Yeah.
Like he's their counter to Daemon. And and then you have that's I like Daemon. I love that guy now.
Now,
yeah,
dude, we've been there. We've been there, dude.
This is the second episode where he's had to like step up right go face to face with somebody and be like, "What?" And he have to do it to his own nephew.
Say something.
Okay.
Absolutely, man.
That's the scene with the brother. He says he can keep his tongue. There was so many scenes in this episode, and then the ending with the misunderstanding because the king's
just so much perfect written words and acted on. Oh, just incredible, man. Brandon, how about you, man? Overall thoughts on episode 8?
I think it was incredible. And then for those who have read the book, there's like 4 books that are out of this one book. And the story is A Dance with Dragons. And what is to come is going to blow your mind. But to see how it starts, because there's no talk about how this starts in the books. Like, we just have it. We're at I'm not going to spoil it for you, but what happens based off of miscommunication, and that's not what's told in the books. So it's like, if we just don't know how it happens, it just happens. For that to be the reason, you're like, oh shit, are you serious?
Milk of the poppy again. Here goes milk of the poppy.
Milk of the fucking poppy. And so, like, this episode, it did so much. It set up so much. And then, like Al said, like, it was just an episode you can't miss because everything happens here. Like, we thought we were setting up party lines in the last episode. No. We set party lines in this episode.
Yeah.
And it was crazy to see, like, when Daemon and Rhaenyra first visit the king, that, like, they're like, something's up here. Like, he was getting bad, but you can't be this bad this quick, and for Daemon to go and smell the cup, and everyone and Daemon was kind of like checking around everything. He's like, this is really suspicious, to see that they've been using milk of the poppy to sedate him. And so that way they can do their thing. And, like, it was crazy. I'm like, They're getting sneaky.
Everything's done dirty, man.
They didn't even need Laris in this episode.
No, Creepy Boy was not in this episode. I mean, I think he showed up once really quickly, but no, we didn't need him at all, man. But again, like Al said, we start off with Corliss's brother basically stating that, listen, the lineage needs to stay here. And it's crazy because you find yourself going back to the previous episode to be like, I guess that's why it was so important for him to say that, and again, it's impactful now because now you go back to the last episode, and when he says names are what's blood is not remembered, it's the name of the person and their lineage, that's one of the reasons why Princess is Rhaenyra?
Rhaenys.
Princess Rhaenys. She's not a princess no more. Jesus Christ. How old is she now? But anyway, so the Princess Rhaenys is like, listen, I get what you're saying, but this was what he wanted. And it is what he wanted. He wanted the lineage to go down, but I also understand where the brother's coming from. He's like, look at them. They're not Valyrian. Like, can they be more obvious not Valyrian?
Yeah.
Like,
oh man,
he's like, this is my birthright. Yeah.
Not only is it his birthright, but this would be the end of the Valyrians. And what's crazy, like when you think about it, B and Al also, but more B because I know you saw the whole series of the last one, kind of explains why there's no my fellow black people in Game of Thrones.
He's the last one. He's the last of the Mohicans.
Dude, they're staying with the theme. They're being real to the thing. Because I'm like, there were no black people in Game of Thrones or like no Latinos or nothing like that. But now I get why, because we all died off, kid.
We didn't make it.
I don't need to see the rest of this series to know what happens.
the Darwinism hit real quick.
For real. But again, it's every episode impacts the next episode, which is so crazy because again, you got to just go back one episode to see why this man feels this way and why she understandably feels the way that she feels. And then we get them going to what is it called? I just forgot the name of the town where the castle is, where the king is.
King's Landing?
King's Landing. Thank you, Brandon. And we go to King's Landing, and you can see out right away, Rhaenyra sees that things are different. The way things are looking are different. There's more thoughts of the 7 gods now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And they weren't welcomed either. No one was there waiting for them.
No, and the sad part is they even said, was it the hand of the king even says they were greeted to reflect their station or something like that. In a manner, they were greeted in a manner that reflected their station. They weren't greeted. Like,
they weren't.
So
disrespectful.
Yeah, and it sets up, I guess, a lot of what's to come. Especially starting with, I'm assuming with the next episode. Once now that there's a succession that should take place, and if you listen to his wishes, it should be Rhaenyra. So to treat her like that, and you're very close to maybe having her to crown her queen. Like you said, just very disrespectful. You're taking advantage of the power you have now. They covered up a lot of the symbolism that they had there and replaced it with, I guess, whatever it is of their religion that they were showing.
Right.
And just basically putting the king under and then saying, and even the hand was like sitting on the throne like he was the king.
You look too comfortable, Otto. You're way too comfortable, Otto. I think he was leaning back on that shit with his legs crossed.
Yeah. He was sitting there with one cheek on the chair saying like,
he had the chair reversed and he had his legs on the outside. He was like, with comfortable and shit.
Kid. And then that's why, I liked it later in the episode when the king comes in, he goes, I'll sit on the chair today.
Brandon, tell me your thoughts when the king showed up to court, kid. And
dude,
walked with the cane.
It was about time.
It was about time.
It was about time. Like she spent 2 nights pleading with him, and this man may not even be conscious. And he denied the cup, he denied the tea, and he made a decision, and it was maybe him having a clearer mind, knowing that he was being sedated by his wife, but he chose to side with his daughter. You know, that was a choice he made.
That's the choice he's always made.
He's always made it, but he defined it today because he always made that choice in secret or to his daughter or to the one or two people who asked. And that day he did it in front of everyone in court. So everyone could hear it, that this is how he felt.
Yeah, man. I mean, even when he got on the throne finally, even though it was impactful as shit, my man did take about a good 10 minutes of time to get over there. It was bang, walk, 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 bang, walk, walk, walk.
And he stared at everyone on his way.
Oh, dude. And how about this, man? For Daemon's character and the way he has been with the king, what was it, last episode at the funeral? He says, I don't need anything from you, right? I need nothing. Here he was. The king drops his crown, and it's Daemon who comes pick it up, puts it on him, and helps him get on the freaking throne. Yeah. Dude, talk about not saying much, but saying everything, dude, with little actions. Dude.
I mean, you know, that's the thing too about Daemon is Daemon always played the card like, I don't give a shit, but he always stood up for his brother. And so it may have been an act, you know, everything he was saying the whole time, but he was always caring about his brother. Like, no one talks shit about him but me. You know, like that was always his thing. So it was really nice to see those moments, especially, you know, I think you could read the room as if the king, he's any day now, he was going to go. And so I think to pay respect to his brother, he did those things. And so that was cool.
Yeah. Al, your thoughts on the facial expressions of Otto, of the queen, and of everybody else who watched the king walk up to the throne?
Yeah, they knew the Otto and the queen, like they knew they were fucked. Like they were like, yes, we almost had it. You know, because even the king, when he goes up there, he even like lets everybody know. He goes, I'm a little confused. Why the fuck we here? Because this shit was settled.
Yeah. What are we doing? Are we picking this up again? I said my piece.
He goes, I thought we handled this. Why is everybody here? The only person who has anything to say is her. Speak. He goes, cousin, what your husband want? And like I know we criticized the king the whole series so far about being weak, and it's sad that it had to take him being almost basically on his deathbed to actually grow a spine and start doing what he should have been doing from jump.
This entire episode, he stepped the fuck up. Especially in the dinner. Here, in the dinner part, he stepped up, man. But before we get to the dinner, we have to talk about Corliss's brother losing his fucking mind.
he lost a lot more than that.
Talk about saying what everybody wants to say.
It's like he knew, because, you know, that's treason against the king. So he knew at that moment he was dead. So you know what? While I'm about to die, whore.
He goes, they are bastards. he really got he got his words in, bro. He's like,
he got his time.
He definitely earned his death.
The funny thing was, you saw Daemon bait him, and Daemon said, say it.
Yeah. And that's when he's like, bastards.
And the princess is a whore.
The princess is a whore.
Dude. And with you know, and what does the king say? We should have your tongue for that. And my man Daemon already got that, man. No one needed to ask for it, man. Daemon got that, man.
He can keep his tongue.
Yeah, you're talking about my cousin. I mean, my wife. You know, like, it's so nasty when you think about it, but yeah. But dude, and did they not linger on the fact that he cut the head off and left the tongue on? Like,
oh god,
the tongue was just going up for a while.
That was grotesque, man.
I do have to say though, one of my biggest gripes, and even though I read the book, one of my biggest gripes is the whole names. Like how you have two twins and you're like, oh, I know that my brother's name is Aegon, but my son's name is now Aegon.
Yeah, they
Dude,
only
they're
got
trying to
like 4
confuse me.
names.
That's it. Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Viserys, Viserion,
Dude,
King Jaharis, Aegon, Aegon.
it's so crazy, man. They definitely trying to confuse me for sure.
They confuse
I don't
the
got
fuck
the
out of me.
time to fucking look at my index cards of who the characters are. You know?
Of which Aegon we're talking about.
Right, dude. It's so crazy, man. So the next scene we get Princess Rhaenys, basically looking over the body of Corlys's brother, and I forgot his name. I do apologize for forgetting his name, but
Not
it
Corlys.
not Corlys, but it doesn't matter anymore either because he's done. But he went out great. The freaking not the Mason, but the Meister or
Maester.
the Maester, Maester was
Grand
telling her like
Maester.
he's like, hey, listen, don't look. The deaf doesn't like that. She's like, boy, deaf been looking at me all my life. And it's kind of crazy. And again, the king did ask to have the entire family sit for dinner. And at first I'm like, that's gonna be a fucking problem, and it was awkward at first. It really was. You saw everyone was kind of like their own shit, doing their own thing. Fucking Aegon's just an animal, I mean, of course, we didn't mention the fact that in the episode they alluded to him raping one of the helpers in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Kind of really showing that all the queen's sons are animals. Like they're all crazy, these guys. But anyway, he's talking shit to Rhaenyra's son. Rhaenyra's son. He's talking to, because I guess he's talking to the soon to be wife of Rhaenyra's son, and here goes Aragon talking shit to her, like, I feel sorry for you on your wedding night. Like just disrespectful shit. And then again we have the king come in, and they get the seat put in for him and everything. They help him sit down, and again, like I was saying, that gold mask was kind of crazy looking. Honestly, it was. I've never seen anything like that before. Let's just really look really crazy. But we have him pretty much take the mask off, and talk about craziness. What you're looking at, this guy's face is pretty much gone. There's no eyeball in one side, and he's got the Two-Face skin going on the other side, and he's basically saying like, look, I'm not only the king, I'm your father, I'm your husband, I'm your grandfather, and I'm the king of, Westeros here. I need you all to put all this bullshit to the side. I need you guys to make up and stop this nonsense and make our house strong. And I felt that shit. Like they were looking at each other like, dude, he's stepping up. You know what I mean? And at that moment I was like, oh, he's dying.
Yeah.
He's dying, So I don't know, man. I mean, Al, what'd you think of the dinner?
No, I thought that was a good way to do it because, if that was going to be his last call for family peace, because that's really all he's ever tried to do, if you think about it, was keep the family happy.
Mm-hmm.
He would always try to barter a deal between them in order to keep the peace without putting his foot down. And finally, he's putting his foot down and saying, listen, if for no other reason but for me, this old man that loves you, do this for me. And I think it worked. You had Rhaenyra take the first step and toasting the queen toasted back, and
that shit seems sincere too.
Yeah, no,
it did seem
between
sincere.
the two of them, it was sincere. You remember they were really close friends before all this shit started. So
it was all good.
I think it took
until the roast pig came out.
Oh, kid, and that's what it was. It was the kids that you have two
always
sets.
Ruin it.
You have two sets of entitled kids. They don't know they don't know the importance behind anything. They just know, okay, fuck it, I'm going to be king, or I'm going to be this, I'm that. They really don't care, but to be, in essence, entitled little kids. And I mean, I think Aegon took it a little too far. Because it was funny, it was ironic that they put a fucking roasted pig in front of him, and they used to joke up with him about the pig.
Yeah,
but he's pissed off, he's upset, he's angry, he feels that they shouldn't even be there because they're not truly part of the bloodline. So he flips out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, again, we have Amond.
Yeah.
These names are too close, man.
No,
What happened to Steve and Nicholas? But we got Amon there feeling embarrassed because, of course, the pig is there and Rhaenyra's sons are laughing and snickering there. And, he goes, you know what? I want to make a toast, too. I'm like, here we fucking go.
You know what?
On second thought, I want to toast, too. Watch this one, dicks. He's like, I would like to say you guys are two strong brothers. And, Rhaenyra's kids are like, just fucking say it, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
And it becomes an issue, man. And it's just like, Jesus. And I think all this stuff happened after the king left.
Yeah.
Right? The king got taken out because he started coughing, and he was like, dude, that guy felt like he was in agony, dude. I was like, give that guy the milk of the poppy. Please give him and give me some too. Because that guy, I felt the pain that he was going through. I'm like
moaning the whole episode.
Yo, dude, there was a point where Rhaenyra was next to him. I was like, she's gonna put a pillow over his head right now. And this shouldn't become queen. But it's crazy that this happened, this scene, and it's just, you guys said it before. I think once you witness what these kids are doing and they don't give a shit that, they're trying to end this before it becomes something crazy. And they can't fucking help themselves, man. I mean, Brandon, what'd you think about the dinner there?
It sets up exactly what's to come.
Really? Oh, man. I'm looking forward to episode 9. Please, I don't want to time jump. I want to go right from here, dude.
Well, I wouldn't see why they have to time jump anymore.
I don't think they're time jumping past this point.
Because I would think they have to take it right from that night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I think where we left off is Rhaenyra saying that she was going to take those kids back because she's like, this is not working. Let me take the kids back, and I'm going to come back on Dragon. But, of course, what happens with us, and, spoiler alert, if you didn't watch the episode, you should have been listening to us right now. The king dies at the end of the episode, or that's what they implied, at least, because they don't show him dying. Show him taking the last breath, and then the screen goes to black. So I think they're pretty much saying the king Viserys has passed away. And this is going to lead now to the next episode, which I'm going to assume, again, this is why I don't want to time jump. I'm going to assume it's going to be a funeral, the funeral of the king. And I'm looking forward to seeing this. God help us if there's a wedding in the next episode.
They didn't give us a thing for next week, a trailer either.
No,
there was no preview for next week.
Yeah, no,
there was a preview, but it didn't show anything. It really didn't show. There was a lot of talking and like there was actually scenes of like them looking at something, but somebody was speaking in the background. So it was like they were purposely not showing us what's happening in the episode.
Gotcha.
So I'm very interested, but again, I'm assuming don't know much about what's going to happen next episode, but I'm going to assume if the king dies, we have to have the funeral of this king, because shout out to the actor who's playing Viserys. I mean, you made me hate you for 8 episodes, and on the 8th episode, I finally began to say, I fucking love you, dude. You didn't make a goddamn decision for 6 episodes, and then all of a sudden you showed up.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, overall, fantastic episode. And this series could not be written better, honestly. This show is incredible, man. I mean, B, talk to me. Thoughts on everything?
I think, from what we got, so realistically, a lot of what we got, a lot of it didn't happen in the books. We got timelines. This is like a fill-in
backstory?
Yeah. So essentially what happened was we got like information and we got chapters that talked about characters and everything, but there was a lot of this backstory missing. And so to get to this point now where we're going to get into that book, The Dance of Dragons, I'm fucking pumped because it's been a beautiful buildup to get to this point. And from this point, it's just all out mayhem.
Oh my God, I love when you say that. Yeah, I mean, because we didn't really touch on this part, but what happens and what Brandon's alluding to is the setup is there's 2 things going on at one time. You got there's actually more than 2 things going on. We have the kids are pretty much still holding these past tensions and still having this hatred against each other for their various different reasons. You had the two families not really seeing eye to eye, but they tried to, and it looked like it was about to happen. And now with the king passing away, we don't know what's going to happen. And the reason we don't know is because Queen Rhaenyra Princess Rhaenyra is supposed to become the queen, because they just stated what's going to happen in the last the courtroom there where the king showed up at the last second to save her family, pretty much to keep ownership of Driftwood and all these other places, and that she is the rightful queen that's coming up next. Even the current queen was like, you are the next in line. You are the queen. You'll make a fine queen, she said. But then we also have the ending of the episode, which is King Viserys, before he passes away, he is talking to his wife, the queen. And for some reason, with the milk of the poppy that he took to kind of ease his pain, he kind of continued a conversation that he was having with Princess Rhaenyra the night before, which was the story of Fire and Ice and what he believes Aegon is supposed to do. Well, there's too many Aegons.
There's just one too many Aegons.
There's just one too many Aegons, because Rhaenyra is pregnant with she's pregnant with Viserys.
She has twins, and
she has
one
twins.
Of them is Aegon.
Aegon Viserys.
Okay, so there's Aegon is one of her kids, and then there's Aegon, who is the queen's kid, and she takes the story of Fire and Ice, meaning that it's her Aegon, and she goes, I now know what I have to do. And now I'm like, oh shit, she's gonna play this game where now she's gonna be like, no, he really does want my child to run as the king. So it's gonna be this battle of who's the rightful king or who's the rightful queen, and how we get there. And I just, I know Brandon read the book, so he's telling me mayhem begins.
Mayhem.
Episode 9, people.
if somebody they did like a so the Fire and Blood is 4 books in one, and so somebody showed us like the number of pages that we've covered, and it's like this much, and then Dance of Dragons is like this many pages. And like if this show does what I think it's gonna do, then we're gonna have like 4 seasons, and each episode is gonna be fucking ridiculous.
Oh Jesus! Because I was already hyped. Stop,
it's like
Brandon.
Chapter from chapter to chapter is just nonstop. I don't like a lot of the Dance of Dragons is very less political and very well shit.
All right, Al. So now that Brandon added Coke into the mix, Brandon's making this a crazy party. What's your thoughts, Al, on all this stuff, and what are you looking forward to next week?
Well, I'm looking forward to the play out. Like, one of the things I've liked about this show so far has been the fact that everything has been, like you said earlier, like everything one episode led into the actions of the next episode. And they haven't needed to rely on too much gore. I mean, they've had gore, they've had the sex scenes and everything, but they've been more relying on the dialogue and the interaction between the characters to drive the show, without the need of, let's throw a fight scene, or let's throw 15 people getting killed. But now that this action is coming, I want to see, I'm confident they can do it, but I want to see the balance of it. Like, why is the violence? Like, you've given us the history behind the characters. You've done it well, so we know why, Rhaenyra's kids and Alicent's kids don't get along. We know why there's that animosity. Why is that anger? But let's continue it and develop it and see a balance of the violence and the dialogue, like the conversation and story behind the violence and why it continues. And if Brandon's right, if we got this much more of story coming, there's got to be more than just fighting.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We are all looking forward to it, man. And I cannot wait to discuss episode 9. I'm looking forward to it. And, not for nothing, man. As well as She-Hulk episode 9. This is going to be the last episode of She-Hulk. So listen, make sure you guys either subscribe or hit the plus symbol on your podcast play app, the whatever you use for your podcast. Hit that plus symbol so that next week's episode, where we discuss episode 9s of both shows there, Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, and also She-Hulk, and any kind of major news. I think this week in the movies we have Halloween 3 or Halloween Ends. That's been me and Al's thing for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We saw Halloween 2 last year. I forgot what that one was called, but it was okay. Nothing
Halloween
too crazy,
Kills.
but Halloween Kills. Yeah. So we'll see if maybe we see Halloween Ends. I mean, if not, we'll definitely see Black Adam next week.
Yeah.
Next week is Black Adam. So we'll get back to the movies and stuff like that soon. But man, I gotta tell you, I'm not mad that we're seeing these shows, man, because these shows are incredible.
Okay.
Not only are they just time consuming, but they're really well done. Man, they're fantastic, man. So listen, come back to our podcast next week on either YouTube or your podcast play app and hear what we think about episode 9 and see if you agree with some of our opinions and our thoughts, or just to hear about this episode one more time with some of our humor and our thoughts, man. So coming out of Long Island, New York, we are the Real Fan Review. We got my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And myself, Hob, saying thank you guys for listening as always, and thank you to the Wi-Fi gods for not fucking the Wi-Fi this week. I get to be on the podcast to say good night. So guys, good night. We'll see you on the next episode. Until next time.